Good evening, Ed Heads. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be following on the continuation on the nutrition theme. This is probably one of the most requested topics, and I don't think I've covered it, at least recently, and that is how I vary my food, my eating on a rest day versus a training day. Now, for the sake of keeping this quite specific or realistic, because I want you to be able to take something from this as well, I'm going to be working on the basis that the rest day, which for me was actually yesterday, we are going to be going for an hour spin, just burning a couple of 100 calories, literally just pedaling around for an hour. And the training day, which is actually today, I'm going to keep it 3 hours, and I'm also going to keep that like an early morning ride, because a lot of you train early in the morning. So this might not be as early as some of you train, like this was like 7:30 this morning, but hopefully it gives you some kind of idea. I didn't want to give an example that I'm a professional cyclist and I start training at 10:30 in the morning, because I know a lot of you work. So, how can you then strategize your nutrition and your eating around your training, because you'll be training at different times to me. So I've tried to keep it specific and early in the day. So we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about how I structure it, timing wise, and what I eat and when, and the types of things I do eat, and how my brain works when I look at it as well. So I'm going to bring up my fitness pal on the screen so you can be able to see what I'm looking at as well. And I want to keep this as simple and as straightforward and just to the point as possible. None of this fancy shooting stuff. I just want to keep it informative. So, rest day. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, I ride my bike and then I sit down and I do a lot of work on a computer. So I don't actually do a lot of moving. So yeah, pretty inactive apart from actually day-to-day riding. So yesterday, I actually estimated my calorie expenditure to be around 2,000 calories, and you can look at my previous video to see how I come about that. But basically, I always plan ahead. So the evening before, I always plan what I'm going to eat the following day. Most of it is pretty much the same. Okay, so I eat the same foods, and nearly always at the same times. I change some things every now and again. It's all about the timing and the quantities, really, that change. You'll also notice there's very little vegetables on here, there's very little fruit. That's because I don't always put them in. I sometimes, put the fruit in, because obviously bananas and berries and apples and things have, calories, and it all adds up. But I haven't put it in for the sake of just keeping things simple. And the things that bring, the things that are most calorific is what I pay my most attention to. And of course, the following day, when the day does come, I adjust things. So I move things around, or I increase the portion size if I'm getting hungry, things like that. So it's not set in stone, but at least you've got a framework to work with. So breakfast for a rest day is a little pot of, it's like quark, yogurt type of thing. Found it recently in a supermarket. It's 15 grams of protein and some nuts. Now I've got pistachios here, but it can be any nuts. Pistachios is what we've got going at the minute. So you can see at the top, you've got carbs, fat and protein, and it's broken it down. So that breakfast is fairly low carb, really, especially when you compare it to the following day, which would be a training day. Pre, during, post is my next section. Stick with me now, because I've broken them down. This is how I work. Breakfast, pre, during, post, lunch, post ride, snack 1, pre, during, post, snack 2. That's if I'm doing an afternoon session. I call it pre, during and post session. And then dinner and snack. So that's breakfast, and that'll be basically as soon as I wake up, along with a load of water. Then out on the session, if it's a rest day ride, I won't eat anything. And I'll just have a recovery drink afterwards made with oat milk. Next up, we have lunch, which, as you can probably tell, is going to be a couple of hours later. Salmon and rice. There's obviously vegetables involved, but for the most calorific things, I've already inputted them. So I always plan ahead, specifically protein, because it's one of the things that you always find that you'll slip on if if it goes like unmissed. So I always make a note of trying to input that first, and then I work around that. Then in the middle of the afternoon, 2 eggs, omelette, whatever. And then a snack in the afternoon or evening meal. And this happens to be, I think it's 2 wraps and some taco mixed beans. So basically like enchiladas type of thing. And tomato passata, maybe some cheese, I don't know. But you'll see now that the carbohydrates are coming in like a little bit thick and fast around this area. It's the same with my dessert / pre-bed snack, which is granola. I kind of call it a treat, and some low-fat natural yogurt. So that's kind of like, that wraps up the day, and I'm eating most of my carbs in the late afternoon, evening. So protein 120, carbs 226, fibers pretty good, and fat is a little bit over, but hey ho, such is life. So, better show you the macro breakdown, 50, 25, 25, almost. So the training day, so I wake up at, I don't know, something like 6 a.m. I wake up at 6 a.m. I will have basically what I had for dessert the night before. I'll have that, hit of protein, water, and granola. Granola portion might be a little bit bigger. I am one for overnight oats or porridge or oatmeal. It just depends what the ride is. If I'm doing an interval session like I was today, I'd stay away from it because porridge is quite heavy and I like cereal. So then my ride will be burning a fair amount of carbs. I'm going to be doing a lot of intensity, so I've got 6 bars here. And then I've got my recovery drink afterwards, but without the oat milk. Now, this training day, which is like 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, the following day is going to be another rest day. So it's rest day, training day, rest day. So what you'll see now is the carbohydrates like focused around the session and then slowly petering off throughout the day. So lunch post-ride, so probably around 1 p.m, like depends what time I get back. I know I put in salmon and rice again, but for the sake of like trying to keep things consistent, I've deliberately put that in there because it will basically be something quite similar to that. Okay, so again, there might be some vegetables, but I'll also throw in a hit of fat because I'm starting to make this little transition. And the transition then happens in the next meal, which is a snack, 2 eggs and a slice of bread. And then the evening meal, again, for the sake of making this simple for you to understand, I've gone for the same meal, but a different portion size. So 1 wrap instead of 2, so that's 30 grams less of carbs. Half a tin of the taco mixed beans, same as the day before, and tomato passata. Maybe this time I'll have more cheese, maybe. Dinner and snack, that is then when we go for swapping out the granola and we have a portion of nuts or whatever, fruit, things like that, but nuts, particularly lower carbohydrate to then finish the day. So it's not low carbohydrate, I don't want to stress that, it's lower. So it's just being strategic about where I have it, which does mean I do get hungry at certain points of the day because I'm trying to make this conscious switch, and it's less so much of like green days and red days. It's more like red half days or red hours. Do you know what I mean? So I start off the day with like, yes, let's fuel, and then I start off the day trying to switch from carbohydrate to like other forms of food, fuel. And it depends. So if I was training another 3 hours the next morning, I would increase my carbohydrate throughout the day so that the next day I can train as well. But being it's a rest day, I do the opposite a little bit. So I hope that explains a little bit of what I am doing rest days versus training days. Not to go into too much detail, but I can do that down below in the comments. So leave your comments down below. I'll see you in the next one.